Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. So I've really put off this boss for way too long. I know that the Shadow of Chaos has come out about 6 weeks ago when the Goddess of Time Part 3 conclusion dropped. And so for those who don't know, if you go to the Space-Time Rift and go to revisit your memories from the little kid, you can find the Mark of God's tome and challenge it at the very top. Anyways, this boss is a tough one. It has a lot of physical resistances, elemental resistances, and has four phases, or 3 HP stoppers. Now the first phase isn't too difficult. First turn it just puts up shields, and then second turn it does a little bit of an attack, that's an AoE, non-type physical. And so if you have a debuff in the form of, for example, a dual debuff with Judgment, Renri, and or a shield, you can survive that very easily, and I use Cloud Pierce from melee to heal at the end of turn. At this point, I VC'd in Aldo to give everyone a power and physical resist up 35, and then we're just going to bar it right here to make a turn 3 AF. Now note that the boss does create Chaos Zone, and you actually have to establish zone twice in order to cancel the zone and keep it on your zone, after which it will stay on your zone until the next wave of the fight. So in the case of this, I used the Fire Zone Grasta on Nikoko, and yes, she has to be fastest, so she acts first, and then I VC'd in one of my 2 zone setters, either Crest or Radius, to establish Slash Zone. To my knowledge, the boss is mostly elemental attacks, so Slash Zone won't be dangerous in taking more damage. So the first HP stopper is about 10% down, so he has 90% left. And you can see I just did Fire Zone Grasta, and it changed to Chaos, and then we did Slash Zone. So in this second part of the fight, you have to wear it down to the 50% HP stopper. So it's got 40% HP to wear down, and the whole goal here is to build up as much as an AF bar within 4 turns. Now it rotates between elemental AoE attacks. I don't believe it causes any statuses or other issues. And so again, if you have any sort of resistances, we can use Cat Deity Guardian, for example, on Nikoko. We do have Elemental Barrier on Radius, as well as dual debuff from Judgment, and of course we can still use Sword of Hope, singing that we are in Slash Zone. After which, the whole point is to build up another bar and make sure you activate an AF before the 5th turn of the second wave. So count that you have 4 elemental attacks coming through first, and you want to activate your AF at the end of the 4th attack to allow yourself to build up as large a bar as possible. If you wait for turn 5, it does some sort of 99% HP drain attack, which doesn't kill you. However, it leaves you with a triple debuff, speed, int, and power debuff similar to Renri, and it'll cripple you for at least 3 turns, making this fight a lot harder. Alright, so again, you can see that it's rotating through the different elements, and the damage, when mitigated, is definitely less than 2,000, and so you have the Cloud Pierce end of turn healing because we're doing all non-elemental attacks. Remember that Cloud Pierce does an end of turn move depending on what kind of elements you're using, and so in this case we're doing a completely non-elemental slash team. And the whole point here again is to build up your AF combo meter, and then you're going to set up with a few X/Mark II, and then lay down the smack with the upgraded Dragon God Slash based on the light. So you can see a single hit is already in the 40 millions, and we are able to wear that down to the 50% mark. At this point, stage or wave 3 is very similar to wave 1. On turn 1, I believe the boss does put up a shield, and then it kind of goes through the same kind of attacks as before, although at this point the attacks can leave you with some status issues. That is RNG dependent. I believe it can do freeze or confuse status, for example, and so you really need to be watching out for here. If you have status removal, that'd be great. In this case, my team does not, and so I did rely on a little bit of RNG to not lose the fight. If you're wondering where we're getting end of turn regens for the MP and HP, I have a lot of Delise equipment from the cooking portion of the Tales of Collab, And those are very, very good and handy in longer fights like this where you're forced to do MP consuming moves every turn. I'll show you my loadout at the end, and there is some other, I guess, Drasta as well as gear to help kind of mitigate that kind of MP consumption. So make sure you fast forward to the end of the video if you need to see a loadout. Again, in Wave 3, there is another HP stopper from 50 to 40, and so you don't need too much more than a half bar in order to bring it down from 50% to 40%. It's very similar, like I said, to the first stage of the fight. So at half bar, note that I can already activate an AF once we set up. And so I'm going to bring back in Aldo, and kind of, he's our main DPS. And like I said, with obviously having the light at 255 and his moves enhanced from chapter 83 and 84, we really can get a lot of damage here. Okay, so unfortunately we were going to activate an AF here, but Mila was confused, and so that, like I said, is RNG dependent. Radius didn't get frozen, otherwise she'd be out of commission for one turn. She did get hit by that kind of ice single target attack here. So all we have to do is build up another hit, and it rotates back to the turn 1, which is the otherworldly barrier, which increases its physical shielding. Either way, we're going to punch right through here, do a large AF, and hope it is enough to bring it down from 50 to 40, and it shouldn't be a problem because, as you can see, we are also applying our own debuffs to the enemy. We have Whirling Assault, which is from Mila as a spam move. That's a 3 times attack, and if you're wondering why that one over the Overdrive, we need more hits to generate combo meter. Obviously, we have Cat Daidi generating combo meter as well from Nikoko, and even though it's an Earth type attack, still, we're getting combo meter plus 50% crit damage up. We can also use Volcano Blade to set up the extra crit damage for the rest of our team, plus Aldo itself, and then just make sure we have, his Dragon God Slash once we have a high enough combo meter. So in my setup, my right move is the X/Mark II, and then every so often I press the middle button to do the Dragon God Slash. So when you watch my AF, I do pause just to make sure I don't mispress, because if you mispress, of course you can end the fight and make a mistake and unfortunately lose the game. Okay, we're at the 4th and final phase. So the boss currently has 40% HP left. You have to end the boss relatively quickly here, and the reason for that is it's going to be similar to the second wave, where it's going to do some elemental attacks, and this time it's going to be a little more challenging. So the first turn of this wave, it did a shield, otherworldly barrier again, and that is a physical, I think it does a type shield as well, although I don't see the icon there. And then after that, it's going to do a lightning non-elemental attack on his turn 2. Then it's going to do 2 elemental AoEs back-to-back on turn 3. The other 2 elemental back-to-back attacks on turn 4. And on turn 5, it's going to do that 99% HP attack that leaves you with that triple debuff, speed, power, and int. And you don't want to get that at that point, because otherwise it's going to be difficult for you to survive and kill the boss on this last phase of the fight. So if you're wondering why I'm a little bit slower, I had a few trial and errors as I was fighting this boss, and so I really just wanted to make sure I pressed the right buttons, did the right moves, and I'm sorry that it's a little bit longer than expected for this fight. Alright, so we've already gotten through the lightning phase, lightning attack. We've gone through the first 2 elements back to back, and at this point we're going to bring in our Aldo and try to end the fight with a large AF. It shouldn't be a problem at this point, but still, I don't want to make a mistake here, being that this is going to be my first clear if I beat it. Alright, so that's great. Crest came in and Aldo came in right after that. If you're wondering why I did Aldo last, it does give you a physical barrier plus 35, although I think that in future runs I would definitely bring in Aldo first and then Crest coming in to boost the whole party's power by 30 instead. That being said, we're going to activate AF before it does that kind of 99 stopper. Don't forget to cast Distortion Blade to increase all sword and as katana attacks by 40%, and obviously that benefits our main DPS, which is Aldo. And note that we have enough combo meter, so at this point all we're doing is Dragon God Slash 50 million, and we have ended the fight. And now we're just going to spam the rest of it and let the AF bar run out. So 100 million in the last fight. Whew. That was tricky.
Stop flexing, Dad.
Now, I know that obviously there are Melissa clears, and that might make it a lot easier because, you can hopefully punch through with high DPS units through each wave. However, there are also other videos that can do complete clears of this fight with free characters, which is a very similar strategy. You're using Mila as well as Tails of such as Cress to establish the, cancel the zone with the Fire Grasta. In my case, I used a couple of gacha units to help augment my fight, and so I hope you don't mind on that. You can see with Mila, we have the MP use minus badge plus the MP use minus Grasta. And one last tip about this fight. Note that I did do single normal attacks in between needing super moves. Alright. And finally, Radius is just our Grasta carrier at this point. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.